Most people never make it to the real test. They collapse long before life truly begins to press its weight on them. Not because life is cruel, but because their minds are untrained, soft from comfort, swollen with emotion. They chase approval, mistake kindness for power, and think love will protect them from chaos. But the world doesn't bend for tenderness. It bends for control. Machiavelli saw it clearly. He believed the mind was a throne, and whoever failed to rule it would kneel to others who did. You don't wake up calm and untouchable. You build it brick by brick through silence, distance, and discipline. You're here because something in you is tired of bending. You've been too kind, too available, too easily shaken. Now, you want command, so ask yourself, right here, right now, do you rule your mind, or does the world rule it for you? Because that single answer, unspoken, quiet in your chest, decides everything. Lesson 1. Control the narrative. Power doesn't begin with strength. It begins long before that, with perception. Before you ever speak, before you ever act, the world has already decided what to think of you. People don't truly see who you are. They see what you allow them to see. They don't analyze your intentions or your heart. They read the small, silent details, the weight of your posture, the stillness in your eyes, the rhythm of your breath. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He knew that truth, on its own, is fragile. It whispers into the wind, easily lost. But appearance shouts. The world is built not on truth, but on the illusion of it. It rewards what seems confident, not necessarily what is. And in that illusion, power is born. Think about it. People don't respond to your thoughts. They respond to your composure. They judge not by your soul, but by your presence. They sense certainty, and they yield to it. They sense doubt, and they attack it. When you step into a room with quiet steadiness, people shift ever so slightly. They adjust to your gravity. They don't understand why. They just feel the energy of someone who does not seek approval. That's the first rule of control. Never rush to explain yourself. The need to explain is a symptom of weakness. The more you justify, the more power you leak. A man who truly knows who he is has no urgency to prove it. Let your silence speak instead. Silence unsettles the noisy. A calm gaze will command more space than 1,000 frantic arguments. When you hold your ground without a single word, something profound happens. People project their own interpretations onto you. Some will imagine confidence, others will imagine mystery. Both are useful. The less they know, the more they respect. The more they guess, the more they hesitate. Because the truth is this: the world doesn't care about your reality. It cares about the story it can tell itself about you. So take authorship of that story. Shape the frame before others paint their picture. Control how you're seen, and you begin to control how the world behaves around you. Your composure becomes your reputation. Your restraint becomes your reputation. Every tone of voice, every pause, every controlled reaction writes a silent narrative. If you appear desperate, you teach people that you are disposable. If you appear grounded, you teach them that your time is valuable. If you stay calm under pressure, they'll believe you're stronger than you are. And that illusion becomes armor until reality grows into it. Machiavelli once wrote that men judge by the eye rather than the hand, because everyone can see, but few can touch. It means perception is the battlefield, and the mind is the weapon. You win not by fighting harder, but by being seen as unshakable. So stop trying to convince, stop trying to please, stop handing out explanations like currency. Each defense cheapens your value. You don't owe anyone your transparency. You owe yourself your control. There's an invisible war in every social interaction, a quiet struggle for narrative. The loud ones fight for attention. The wise fight for perception. You don't have to announce who you are. Let the room feel it before you speak. Confidence doesn't shout. It hums beneath the surface. In time, that quiet consistency becomes your legend. People will describe you in fragments. He never seemed rushed. She never raised her voice. They always looked like they knew something we didn't. That's not arrogance. That's authorship. Control how you're seen. Protect the mystery of who you are. Because when you own the narrative, you bend reality toward your favor. Affirmation: I write my own story. Lesson 2. Detach from emotion. The easiest way to be controlled isn't through pain, it's through reaction. Pain fades. Reaction lingers. That's why the world doesn't always come for you with cruelty. It comes with provocation. A small insult, a sudden silence, a betrayal wrapped in kindness. Someone pulls away, not to leave you, but to make you chase. Every time you react, you send a signal. And signals can be read, stored, and used against you. Machiavelli called emotion the leash of the fool. He wasn't mocking the heart. He was warning it. He didn't mean that you should stop feeling. He meant you should stop kneeling before every feeling that passes through you. Detachment isn't coldness. It's freedom. It's the power to watch the storm without letting it drench your peace. It's the ability to see the provocation, to feel its pull, and still say, "Not today." Feel anger, but don't perform it. Feel pain, but don't let it choose your next step. Stand still long enough, and even the fiercest storm loses its voice. Most people mistake emotional honesty for strength. They wear every feeling like a badge, thinking vulnerability will be rewarded. It rarely is. The world doesn't pay attention to your openness. It studies it. When people can read you, they can predict you. And what's predictable can be controlled. But when they can't read you, when your emotions stay quiet behind steady eyes, people hesitate. They don't know where you stand, what you feel, or what you'll do next. That uncertainty is power. Stillness isn't silence, it's observation. When you stop reacting, you start noticing patterns. You start seeing the same triggers that used to own you. You begin to understand that most provocations aren't personal, they're tactical. The person trying to get a rise out of you doesn't want truth, they want control. So stop giving it away. Don't meet fire with fire. Meet it with space. Let your calm become the interruption that breaks the pattern. Emotional detachment doesn't make you robotic. It makes you strategic. It gives you room to think before you speak, to measure before you move. It lets you choose your timing instead of surrendering it. The truth is, emotions are meant to inform, not command. They are signals, not scripts. You can feel them, honor them, even use them, but never obey them. When anger rises, ask, "Does this serve me?" When fear whispers, ask, "Is this truth? Or is this habit?" When sadness visits, ask, "What lesson did it bring this time?" You're not your emotion. You're the one who watches it come and go. Every wave crashes, then fades. You don't have to swim against it. Just stand firm and let it pass. The moment you stop being dragged by emotion, you step into command. Your energy stops bleeding into arguments, explanations, and guilt. Your peace stops depending on who apologizes first. You stop being reactive and start being intentional. Machiavelli understood that the most powerful people in any room are the least emotional ones. Not because they don't feel, but because they refuse to let feeling dictate fate. Detachment is how you reclaim control from chaos. It's how you build respect without raising your voice. It's how you become untouchable, not because you're cold, but because you're clear. Affirmation: I feel, but I don't fall. Lesson 3. Expect betrayal. Trust strategy. Betrayal isn't an exception. It's part of the pattern. It's not a surprise of human nature. It is human nature. And yet, every time it happens, people still act like they've witnessed something extraordinary, like the sky just fell. But Machiavelli didn't. He never flinched. He wrote that loyalty lasts only as long as it's useful. And when the usefulness fades, so does devotion. That's not bitterness. That's arithmetic. People are loyal to what serves them. They stand beside you while it benefits them. And when it doesn't, they adjust the story to make leaving seem noble. It's not always malice. It's often survival. Understanding that truth doesn't make you cold. It makes you calm. The wise man doesn't build his peace on promises. He builds on structure, on systems that protect him even when loyalty breaks. He doesn't rely on the goodwill of others. He relies on preparation. If a promise is a rope, he ties a second knot, just in case the first one frays. Expect betrayal, and it stops feeling like tragedy. It becomes information. You stop bleeding when it happens because you saw the knife long before it touched skin. You stop asking, "Why did they do this?" and start asking, "What does this teach me?" Every act of betrayal reveals a hidden truth. It shows who fears loss, who worships gain, who folds under pressure. It teaches you who can stand beside you when there's nothing to win. When you stop expecting people to be perfect, you stop being shocked when they act human. And in that shift, from denial to clarity, you gain freedom. Don't harden your heart. Hard hearts crack. Fortify your plan instead. Even loyalty deserves boundaries. Even trust deserves locks. Never tie your peace to another person's promise. Tie it to your ability to stand when everyone else sits down. That's independence, the kind no betrayal can touch. You don't need to become suspicious of everyone. You just need to understand how self-interest works. Even good people act selfishly when they're desperate. Even friends will shift when the ground under them moves. So prepare. Have systems that hold when people don't. Have values that don't crumble when others' emotions change. Have exit doors, safety nets, fallback plans, not because you're paranoid, but because you're strategic. Machiavelli once said that promises are born from the necessity of the past and broken by the necessity of the present. He understood that loyalty has seasons, and wisdom means dressing for the weather. When you stop expecting eternal sunshine, the storms stop catching you off guard. Don't make enemies out of those who betray you. They're teachers, not villains. They reveal what you refuse to see when things were comfortable. They expose where you placed faith instead of foresight. And in their wake, they leave a sharper version of you. The goal isn't to live in suspicion. It's to live in awareness, to see clearly without letting disappointment rot your heart. To guard your peace not by isolating, but by anticipating. When you expect betrayal, you stop fearing it. And when you stop fearing it, you become unbreakable, because nothing ruins you when nothing surprises you. Strategy replaces shock, clarity replaces pain, and preparation replaces dependence. Loyalty, when it exists, will feel like grace. But when it fades, you'll still be standing. You'll still move forward, measured, unshaken, alive. Affirmation: I trust clarity, not comfort. Lesson 4. Appear calm, think cold. Calmness is often mistaken for softness, but in truth, calmness is a weapon. It unsettles people who live in noise. It frightens the unstable, confuses the impulsive, and earns the respect of those who understand control. In chaos, the loudest voice is never the strongest. It's the most desperate. The one who remains calm commands the room without lifting a finger. That's why Machiavelli compared a ruler to both lion and fox. The lion embodies strength, while the fox embodies strategy. But both share one secret. They move in silence under pressure. Calmness doesn't mean indifference. It's the decision to stay still when every nerve in your body screams to react. It's the ability to stand in fire and breathe as if it's air. When you appear unshaken, you begin to set the rhythm of the room. You decide when the storm starts and when it ends. Your stillness becomes a mirror, reflecting the instability of others. They'll raise their voices, hoping to drag you into their chaos. Don't rise with them. They'll provoke you, hoping to watch you break. Don't give them the satisfaction. Every second you stay composed, they lose control. Because chaos feeds on reaction, and you refuse to feed it. Ask yourself in every confrontation, does reacting help me win? If the answer is no, remain silent. Silence, in moments of tension, is not weakness. It's dominance disguised as restraint. A calm mind observes what a restless mind overlooks. While others drown in emotion, the calm one studies the current. While they panic over the wave, you're already charting where it will crash. People trust calmness because calmness signals mastery. We follow those who don't flinch. We listen to those who don't rush. We feel safe around those who can think even when everything burns. Machiavelli understood that composure is more intimidating than anger. Anger burns out. Composure endures. The man who shouts looks powerful for a moment. The man who stays silent looks powerful forever. When people can't read your emotional temperature, they assume it's higher than theirs. That uncertainty gives you leverage. It keeps them guessing. And what people can't predict, they can't control. Don't confuse composure with pretending nothing hurts. It's not about faking peace. It's about choosing where to spend your reaction. You can feel deeply and still decide to stay silent. You can be angry and still choose logic. That is control. Imagine two people in conflict. One erupts, words spilling everywhere like shattered glass. The other stands still, eyes calm, voice low. The room will side with the quiet one, even if they don't know why. Because calmness feels like truth. Train yourself to pause before speaking, to breathe before replying, to measure before striking. patience isn't passivity, it's precision. When you master this, your calm becomes contagious. It sets the tone in chaos, disarms aggression, and exposes fragility. You'll start to notice that the people who once tried to shake you will begin to lower their voices around you. Not because you demanded respect, but because your composure left no other choice. Calmness is not the absence of emotion, it's the control of expression. It's knowing that storms don't last, but your reaction defines what's left when they pass. So stand still, hold your gaze. Let silence do what words never could. Affirmation: my calm unsettles chaos. Lesson 5. Keep power in silence. Noise is the language of insecurity. The ones who shout the loudest are often trying to convince themselves they still have control. But silence, when it's deliberate, is something else entirely. It's the sound of someone who doesn't need validation. Silence, chosen consciously, becomes the signature of true strength. Machiavelli knew this centuries ago. He wrote that power lives not only in what you reveal, but in what you conceal. Because the more you speak, the more you give away. Every unnecessary word becomes a trail of breadcrumbs, leading others back to your doubts, your fears, your intentions. Silence, on the other hand, leaves no trail. It invites imagination. And imagination is far more powerful than information. When you speak little, people begin to fill the gaps themselves. They project their fears, their admiration, their confusion onto you. And that's where control begins. You don't have to defend your choices. You don't have to explain your pace. Those who demand explanations often aren't seeking truth. They're seeking access. Let your results be the only explanation they ever get. Let your silence echo longer than their noise. In conversation, silence bends the balance of power. It makes the impatient rush to fill the void. It makes the arrogant talk too much and reveal more than they intended. Every pause you hold is a mirror. And in that mirror, people start to see their own restlessness, their own need for approval. That's how silence works. It exposes others without ever betraying you. Use words like money. Spend them only when there's guaranteed return. Don't buy attention with small talk or justification. Buy influence with timing, precision, and restraint. Speak softly. Pause often. Watch always. There's a kind of quiet intelligence that belongs only to the observer. While the talkers exhaust themselves proving, explaining, convincing, the silent one sits back, collecting data. The quiet mind sees everything the loud mind misses. The twitch of an eyebrow, the hesitation before an answer, the inconsistency between word and tone. That's where real understanding lives, in the spaces between sound. Silence isn't emptiness. It's loaded. It carries weight. The quietest person in the room often commands the most attention because people can't read them. Mystery becomes gravity. Don't fear misunderstanding. People will always invent stories about what your silence means. Let them. Those stories give you power because they reveal more about them than about you. You don't owe the world your voice at every moment. Sometimes the greatest statement you can make is to say nothing at all. Silence doesn't mean submission. It means selection. It's you deciding which conversations deserve your energy and which don't. So next time someone tries to provoke you into defending, explaining, or proving, stop. Take a breath. Let the pause stretch. Watch how quickly they scramble to fill the space you've claimed. That's not weakness. That's dominance disguised as calm, because silence isn't a lack of power. It's power under control, stored, measured, and ready when needed. When you finally choose to speak, your words will cut through the noise like a blade. Because the less you say, the more it means when you finally open your mouth. Affirmation: my silence speaks for me. Lesson 6. Master the art of absence. Presence loses value when it's constant. The more accessible you become, the more ordinary you seem. It's a simple law of human nature. What's always available is rarely respected. Machiavelli understood that scarcity breeds power. A ruler seen too often becomes background noise. A ruler who appears rarely becomes a legend. It's not about arrogance, it's about rhythm. The dance between presence and absence is what keeps authority alive. Absence is not retreat, it's recalibration. It's stepping away, not to vanish, but to let your presence echo in silence. When you disappear for a while, your value expands in people's minds. They start to replay your words, your gestures, your energy. They begin to miss the steadiness they once took for granted. Every leader, every thinker, every artist who's ever left a mark understood this truth. Space amplifies meaning. If you speak every day, your words lose gravity. If you're always seen, your image loses weight. But when you withdraw deliberately, when you choose to be scarce, your presence starts to carry a kind of reverence. People lean in when you finally appear, because they've learned you don't show up without purpose. So learn to disappear before the world grows too familiar with you. Step back when your voice starts to sound repetitive, when your presence starts to feel expected. Reappear only when your timing can change the room again. Mystery magnifies worth. When people can't always reach you, they begin to imagine you. And imagination is far more powerful than reality. Let them wonder where you've gone, what you're building, what you're thinking. That quiet uncertainty becomes part of your myth. In your absence, loyalty reveals itself. Those who remain aligned with you when you're silent, when you're no longer giving, explaining, or performing, are the ones who are truly connected. The rest were simply drawn to noise. Absence filters out the superficial. It shows who values your essence, not your attention. But don't mistake isolation for wisdom. Absence is useful only when it serves a purpose. Withdraw not to hide from life, but to sharpen your vision of it. Use solitude to think, to plan, to refine your direction. It's in quiet distance that strategy is born. The crowd moves by emotion, always chasing, always reacting. The sovereign moves by intention, always watching, always deciding when to step forward. When you master absence, your return becomes an event. People don't just see you. They feel your re-entry like a shift in temperature. You don't have to announce yourself. The silence before you spoke already did. Absence, when used wisely, is power's twin. It preserves mystery, restores focus, and turns your presence into something sacred. Because what is rare is respected. What is constant is consumed. So disappear sometimes, not to flee, but to reset the balance. Let the world talk in your silence. Let your stillness become a kind of signal, a message that says, you move only when it matters. Affirmation: my distance deepens my power. Lesson 7. Rule your mind, rule everything. Every empire begins in the mind. Every downfall begins there, too. Machiavelli believed that reason must govern desire, or desire will destroy reason. A ruler of nations is first a ruler of thought. If your world is chaotic, it's because your mind allowed chaos to enter. If your days feel scattered, it's because your focus is unguarded. Train your thoughts like soldiers. Give them order, discipline, silence. Do not let fear lead the front line. Awareness is the first command. Observe your thinking as if you were a general walking the wall, checking for cracks, for leaks, for weakness. Replace panic with planning. Replace noise with stillness. Replace impulse with intention. Every time you resist a reaction, you earn strength. Every time you stay silent when provoked, you win ground. You don't become untouchable by avoiding emotion. You become untouchable by governing it. The mind, once ruled, becomes a fortress. And inside that fortress, peace stops being a dream. It becomes your territory. Affirmation: my mind obeys me. The closing. Being untouchable doesn't mean being heartless. It means being unshakable. It means no betrayal, no insult, no failure can rewrite who you are. You start living deliberately. You start loving wisely. You start speaking only when purpose demands it. Control isn't cruelty, it's clarity. And clarity is rare. So hold it close, build it quietly, live it fully. Because the moment you rule your mind, you no longer chase peace. You are peace. Fade out. Slow music. Lingering pause. Final prompt to viewers. If these words resonated, breathe once, slowly, and write your affirmation below. Let the world see calm power in your silence.